Hey guys, how's it going? How was your beautiful day going on this beautiful day? We are back, okay? A little leave of absence for moving scenarios. Why am I Donald Trumping it right now? But we are back with the videos, and today we have a QB tier list. We basically got through the whole season, and we know what every quarterback, where I would rank them. That Super Bowl's not going to change anything unless Jalen Hurts puts on a freaking master of classes. There's a possibility it changes, but who cares? I'm doing this video, the season is over, and I'm gonna do all the position groups, so subscribe to the channel right now so that you can see every single tier ranking of every position, if you know what I mean. All right, so this is the list that we are going off of today. Basically, these are the ranks. We got the elite of the elite, the best of the best in the league. Any given year, any one of them can be the best quarterback in the league. Well, I mean, we know who the best quarterback in the league is, but performance-wise, you know what I mean. Just below elite would be, the guys almost as good. The guys that possibly can be in that tier pretty soon, or maybe were in that tier at one point in their career, but are no longer. And then the potential is there. These guys can be one of the best in the league, but right now they're not. So just below that, mid, pretty self-explanatory, just not very good. You're just not very good, and maybe it's a temporary thing. Maybe I don't know. You are enough to be a starter in the league, but not enough to be. But I don't know. You're just above the not starting caliber tier, which is explanatory for itself. You are not a starting quarterback tier quarterback in the league. We are starting off with Aiden O'Connell, who is not a starting caliber quarterback in the NFL. He's a great backup. I think he could be a great backup for his whole career. Kind of like a journeyman guy who takes some relief off of quarterbacks when they get injured and stuff like that, but he is definitely not a quarterback who should be starting ever. Now we got Russell Wilson, who is just not very good anymore. I don't think you'll ever have him as a guy on the bench. I think that was shown by the fact that Justin Fields still got play time, or didn't get any play time once Russ was healthy, which doesn't make any sense to me because I thought he was probably the better quarterback, but he just seems like a guy who's going to be starting as long as he's in the league, probably. But he's just not very good anymore. Lamar Jackson is obviously elite. He's on the way to probably his third MVP. Possibly, he still only has 2 MVPs, but he is the best of the best. He is up there, and we know his talent is ridiculous. I think he finished 4th in all-time passer rating this year. He is absolutely electric as a quarterback, and he is part of the elite tier. Sorry, I just smacked my mic. I hope that did not sound too loud. I'm not sure. Next, we have Bryce Young. The potential is there for 100%. At the end of the season, he played fantastically after he got benched. He played some great football. Those couple plays where he's like throwing a touchdown and turning around looking at the camera. He's a fantastic player. I think that he could be elite one day. I'm not sure, though. We don't know how much that potential will go. But the fact that his confidence is rising and he's playing this much better with all this confidence is just proof that I think he's going to really blossom into a good quarterback pretty soon. Matthew Stafford, just below elite, he's still amazing. He still leads some of the best offenses in the league. He's one of the most talented quarterbacks of all time. Even when Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua were out, he was making do with Whittington, I don't even know that guy's first name, and Demarcus Robinson, who is solid but not starting wide receiver solid. So we know Matthew Stafford is a fantastic quarterback. Trevor Lawrence, I don't know what to think about him right now. I'd like to put him in the mid tier, but I think I'll still keep him in the potential is there. I've been very, very critical of Trevor Lawrence. I don't think he's that good of a quarterback. But looking back at film of him, it's kind of like his team is bad combination with he just doesn't trust anybody on his team anymore. He doesn't trust his receivers. He doesn't trust his protection. And it's leading him to be very jumpy. Very different from when he was at the beginning of his career, where he was making plays because he trusted in the people on the field. And it just seems like he's lost that trust, which has caused him to make some very, very rookie quarterback mistakes that you shouldn't be seeing from him in year 3 or 4 at this point. The arm talent, and I think the potential is there for him to go back up to a better tier, but we have to see him make those moves before I can put him in any tier above. And if he stays at this level after next year, he might go down into that mid tier. Patrick Mahomes is elite. We all know that. There's no pushback on that one. Mason Rudolph is also not a starting caliber quarterback. I think we all know this at this point. Brock Purdy is going to go in this mid tier. This season shows that he's just not really a quarterback that you can have unless you have a super team. What happened for them last year is they really didn't have too many injuries. Their defense was at very high strength. It was one of the best in the league, with one of the best linebacker duos in the league. Amazing safety play. Their corners were amazing, and not injured, to put lightly. Their defensive line was great, and their offense was not injured. So it was amazing. But this year he had to work with injuries. He had to work with bad defenses. And it kind of just showed that, like, he is not a player that is going to work with rough team. And honestly, their defense was not that bad. Sorry. There's going to be a brief intermission in this video. I gotta go make my pizza. Or take my pizza out of the oven. I'll be back. Alrighty, I'm back. Not sure where I was. I know we were talking about Brock Purdy. He's mid. Derek Carr goes into just not very good. Yes, he had a few crazy games this season. But to me, that doesn't really matter. I just don't think he's not very good of a quarterback. Just straight up. Justin Herbert is just below elite. There was a time this season where I had him in my elite tier. I had him in the 5 best quarterbacks in the league right now. And I just can't keep him up there. And the reason being, the playoff performances are so bad. You know, the 2 playoff performances have been horrific. Justin Herbert has the talent to be one of the top elite quarterbacks in the league. Without a doubt, there's no question whether he has the talent. But he just doesn't, like, in the playoffs, it seems like it gets turned off. It seems like someone turns off the elite part of his brain and he just starts throwing mallards everywhere. I don't know. He can't be in the elite if he can't perform in the playoffs. Josh Allen, obviously in the elite. He's there with Lamar Jackson in the MVP race this year, and those guys are all world beaters up there. They're the obvious elite choice right there. Jaden Daniels, I'm going to go just below elite. He is fantastic, okay? He has so much potential to his name. Played great all year. I have people that I know that are putting him in that elite tier. I don't put him there yet. It's one season, and it is the greatest rookie season we have ever seen. And I can close to guarantee you that he will be in that elite tier after the season next year. But in case he's not, I'm leaving him in just below elite. I need to see more than one season before I put him in the top 5 quarterbacks. But or the top 4 quarterbacks. He is amazing. Okay, but let's make sure that he's amazing before we start putting him in the elite tier. Bo Nix, the potential is there for sure. He played a very good last 12 games of the season. His last 12 games were pretty good. He started off a little slow, but he's back and he's playing great football. He's played great football, and even in the playoff game was not Bo Nix's fault. Okay. Contrary to some belief, Bo Nix was very good in that playoff game and did whatever he could to try and win us that game. Unfortunately, nobody else really performed that well. He played pretty great, and the potential is there for him to be an elite quarterback. Tua turn the ball over is also in that mid tier. I just don't think that this team altogether is very good. He's accurate, but I mean, sometimes he just places the ball in harm's way more than he needs to, and his high processing skills that he has, sometimes he just throws mallards, and he throws just passes where it looks like he's not actually going through his progression. He has a predetermined place that he's putting the ball, and he throws it there, and if it's not there, I guess the other team gets the ball. I put Trevor Lawrence and Tua Tagovailoa on the same tier a while back, and I just think that the difference between them right now, even though their team, I would say, have similar success stories, I think that Trevor Lawrence previous in his career has shown those very high skill plays, and he's shown that he has the potential to be a very good quarterback. Tua really hasn't. He's been schemed up into the place that he is right now. And he's just not that great of a quarterback, in my opinion. Joe Burrow on the elite tier. He was the best quarterback in the league this year. I don't care if my Joe Burrow bias is showing. They did not lose because of him. And he had the best statistical season of any quarterback this season. He is fantastic. He is obviously elite. I don't think I need to explain anymore. Cooper Rush is not starting caliber. I think we know this. He's already not starting. Joe Flacco is also no longer starting caliber. Next we have Spencer Rattler. Again, not starting caliber in my opinion. I know he's just a rookie and he could get better, but I didn't even see really much of the potential. I saw a few throws that were like, whoa, Spencer, that was a pretty good throw. But besides that, I didn't really see the potential in Spencer Rattler. So, Caleb Williams, the potential is there. He did not have an amazing season. In fact, I think Bo Nix had a better season. But they're on the same tier because I really think that Caleb Williams was misled in his team this year. They had terrible play calling. Their run game was awful. And yeah, I just think he had one of the worst situations. Like, we built this up to be such an amazing situation to walk into. But then we forgot about, number one, how bad that offensive line is. And number two, how terrible the staffing is over there in Chicago. So now with Ben Johnson, we hope that he's pretty good and he can build Caleb Williams' career and actually make the most out of this talented roster. So I think he has shown all the flashes in the world to be an elite quarterback. We just got to see it happen. Deshaun Watson is not starting caliber anymore. He's playing with guilt in his brain. You can see it. Kirk Cousins is not very good anymore. I think he could still start for a few teams that need a bridge quarterback, but unfortunately, even in those last few weeks, he wasn't even playing to like a bridge quarterback standards. He was playing pretty terrible football, but I don't think that that'll stay. He did throw for 500 yards this year at a certain point. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say that he's just not very good, but he's still a starting caliber quarterback. But I mean, very, very well, very soon we could see him turn into not starting caliber any longer. Jalen Hurts is just below elite. I don't like putting Jalen Hurts in that tier, but I'm going to keep him there. He's got to show me more next year. He's got to show me more in this Super Bowl. But his processing skills just look very slow recently. He has one of the best offensive lines in the league, and I think he's grown such a massive trust with them. He sits in the pocket for ages and ages. That's not good. That's not good. He doesn't seem like he sees the field very well. What he hasn't done this year is turn the ball over. That's what he did a lot of last season. This season, he's not turning the ball over, but he's also really not making plays. I think the reason that the Eagles have an MVP candidate in Saquon Barkley is because he runs this offense by himself. He is absolutely electric, and he does everything. This offensive line and Saquon Barkley are why this team is here. It is in no way Jalen Hurts, in my opinion. But I think that he's still just below elite because he makes the plays that he needs to make when he needs to make them. The only problem that he has is that when he doesn't have his weapons either, he just turns back into like a quarterback that I wouldn't want to be starting on my team. So I hesitate to not put him in that potential is there category, but I don't know. I think right now, especially after that AFC Championship game where he played one of the most flawless games he's played all season, I think I'm going to leave him in just below elite after that performance, but he's teetering right now. He's teetering. Jordan Love, I think I'm going to put him in the potential is there. Obviously the potential is there. He has some of the most talented arm in the league, and when he gets healthy, I think it's scary. Just the turnovers are really bad, and during Toyotathon, he was fantastic. But in the playoffs, he didn't play very well, and you just like to see more from Jordan Love right now. Again, it's only his second year actually starting, so we got to give him the benefit of the doubt here and realize that he will be okay. Right now, I can't put him on that tier above right now. I haven't seen enough from him. So Drake May, the potential is there. He was one of the better performing rookie quarterbacks. I mean, all of them performed well in their own right. But Drake May played pretty good this season with basically nothing. Bad head coach, no weapons on offense. Their defense wasn't as good as they were supposed to be, although it was still a good defense. I think Drake May has all the potential in the world. He has all the arm talent in the world. He is very athletic. So I like Drake May, and I think that he can make a move. He can make a genuine difference for this Patriots organization moving forward. Mac Jones, I think we've all put this together. He is not a starting caliber quarterback. I don't have to go into that. He's just not very good. And he wasn't starting this year for a reason. Gardner Minshew, again, also not a starting caliber quarterback. Dak Prescott, it's really hard to place Dak Prescott right now because before he got injured, he did have a rough season. But I still think I'm going to put him in the potential is there because I think he could be on these levels. And I think a lot of seasons he is on those levels. Just this season was so bad to start off with. And I think it has a lot to do with play calling. It has a lot to do with ownership. It has a lot to do with outside factors to Dak Prescott. But he also didn't play well, and I gotta dock him for that. We just hope, everybody just hopes that he can, go back to what he was last year, or hopefully even elevate himself to another tier where he can easily be in that just below elite tier. Right now, I'm gonna leave him in that the potential is there type of tier. Anthony Richardson is just not very good. I think he can be a starting quarterback. I do. And I think he still deserves another year of waiting to see what he can be. But as of right now, I just don't think he's very good. He's not very accurate. He doesn't know where to put the ball in short yardage situations. And he's careless. He can make the big throw. He can make throws that not a single person on this list can make. I genuinely believe that. But at the same time, he doesn't know how to use it. He is not technical enough to win games for teams and things like that. He has the potential to, but I'm not putting him in the potential is there because I also haven't seen him perform any better than he has performed. And when he has performed the way he's performed, it's been pretty terrible. Jared Goff, we'll put him in just below elite. I think a lot of people are overrating him now that he played good this season with probably one of the best situations in the league. Their defense played amazing all year. Their offense is the most stacked in the league besides the Eagles. I mean, they have one of the best offensive lines in the league. I'd say the second best offensive line behind the Eagles. They have the second best wide receiver core in the league behind, guess who? The Eagles. They have tied for the best running game in the league with who? The Eagles. All they have is that their quarterbacks are not amazing, but I think Jalen Hurts is better than Jared Goff. And Jared Goff performed amazing with this team, but he also had a game with 5 interceptions, and he just is not a quarterback that will ever win you a Super Bowl. They have a deficit at quarterback, and they're not going to win anything with Jared Goff being the head guy there. I'm sorry. He's just not good enough to win a Super Bowl. I don't care how good your team is. Your team can make it to the Super Bowl, but if your quarterback is not good enough, you're not going to win. And I think that the Eagles can prove me wrong here. But it will prove me right if Patrick Mahomes wins the Super Bowl for a third year in a row. That would mean that it's just basically based off of who the best quarterback in the league is. Again, Patrick Mahomes would prove me wrong. Prove me right. But I hope that Jalen Hurts proves me wrong. Kyler Murray was mid this year. He had a couple flashes in games where he was absolutely fantastic, where he was winning in the pocket, and he was talked about to maybe enter the MVP conversation. He fell off, and he's been mid the rest of the year. I can't put him in any higher tier. Daniel Jones is not starting caliber. He's just not. He's not very good at all. So, Jameis Winston, also not starting caliber. He's a guy who can make your best wide receiver look world-beating because he will just chuck the ball. He will throw it no matter what, and he will get it to anybody. But the problem with Jameis Winston is that he's so careless with the football that he can't be a starting caliber quarterback. Will Levis, he had a good finish to his season, but I think he's just not a starting caliber quarterback. I really would like to put him in just not very good, but I haven't seen starting caliber plays from Will Levis in a long time. So we're just leaving him in not starting caliber. Baker Mayfield is just below elite. He had an amazing season. He led the league in yards, but he also led the league in interceptions. I think he led the league in touchdown, or not led the league because Joe Burrow did both of those things. But he was like second in the league in yards and second in the league in touchdowns. But he was also turned the ball over the most of any quarterback. And he doesn't have amazing footwork. So he's not on the elite tier, and I think we all know that, but he had a fantastic year, and I think the Buccaneers can get somewhere if they build a pretty good team around Baker. They can't really get anywhere if they have what they have now. They need a pretty good team to get anywhere with him, but I think he's the perfect bridge quarterback, and I think he is very, very good. And I love Baker myself, so I like this for him. Next, we have Geno Smith. We're also going to put him at just below elite. A lot of people really poop on Geno Smith recently, and I don't really understand it. The reason I don't understand it is because he is very talented. He carries that offense. Okay, yes, they have great weapons, but realistically, they have no run game, and they have one of the worst, if not the worst, offensive line in the league. And he makes do with what he has. They went 10-7 with such a horrible offensive line and no run game. That's literally Geno Smith leading them to 10-7. Next, we have Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold's going to go in just below elite. I don't know how much I believe. I don't know how much I believe that. But here's the thing. I can't really say the potential is there for him because we're this far into his career. He's 27 years old, and we've kind of seen everything we need to see of Sam Darnold. So I don't necessarily believe like, oh, the potential's there to see him elevate himself. But at the same time, I don't want to call him mid. So it's either mid or just below elite. And honestly, I'm moving him down to mid. I'm sorry, he's not on the level of any of those guys. He had a great season with what he had. Kevin O'Connell is the quarterback whisperer, but he didn't perform in the most important games of the year. So I gotta leave him in mid. I'm sorry, he's not very good. CJ Stroud. We're gonna put him in just below elite. With all the rocky that he's had this year, with all of the tough times that it has been for CJ Stroud and this Texans team, he led them to a playoff win. At the end of the day, he won a playoff game, and it wasn't all on him. The defense played absolutely fantastic, but he's good. He is really good, and he just needs a better offensive line so that he is able to trust them and sit in the pocket and make great throws. I believe in CJ Stroud, and I think he's still in just below elite. Aaron Rodgers is now mid. He had good numbers this year, but he's not very good anymore. I really do think that he should probably retire after this year, but if he returns, maybe Aaron Glenn can change I just feel like this team is going to be the same team it was with Robert Saleh. Like, I think that Aaron Glenn is going to do exactly what Robert Saleh would have done, and that's not much. So Aaron Rodgers is on the decline. He is no longer an amazing quarterback. So that is my quarterback tier list. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you are new, and I will see you guys in the next video. Next will be running backs, so be ready for that one.